stock. Rightwear is the retail chain that handled the recent shipment of dresses manufactured by Eli Sternberg. Those dresses weren't treated with fire retardant as prescribed by law. One of them went up in flames and a window dresser was killed. The dresses were recalled, Rightwear stock plummeted, and Eli Sternberg is in the process of losing his company. Pinzolo has, by latest estimation, made over $20 million selling short on Rightwear stock.
What do you mean reasonably good?
It would be a lot better if Carol Goldman would testify against him.
Pinzolo and Carol Goldman were partners on this whole deal. She was the one who orchestrated the takeover of Rightwear stock by Chinese money through her position at the brokerage house. We've got her under surveillance till we can serve her with a warrant.
Carol and David were cousins.
It was Eli she was after. She thinks 40 years ago he stole the business from her father. This was a payback.
I'll get it. McPike. Well, you boys are doing a hell of a job. We just tried to serve Carol Goldman. She skipped, probably in Brazil by now.
Not yet. She'll be at David's funeral tomorrow.
That's presuming she's the sentimentalist you are. Where are you going?
Try and find her.
If you do, you remember she thinks you're working security for Eli. She doesn't know you're a cop.
Yes, sir.
There's a deep, dark hole inside John Raglin.
The dissolution of all corporations, fictitious and bona fide, in which you're the sole stockholder, and a transferal of all assets into Swiss and Cayman accounts could be accomplished in 3 months.
Got 1 week.
Oh, come on, Rick, just the filing alone. The FTC, the SEC, the ICC.
Hey, man, I know the alphabet. You got 1 week.
We've faced potential SEC charges before, and we've handled them cleanly. You've never even been indicted. A liquidation the size you're contemplating will send up a red flag in every financial market from Wall Street to Rangoon. You can't take it with you, Rick, at least not all at once.
Vesco did.
Yeah, and now he's a man without a country.
Patriotism is overrated. What are you gonna do, Mike? Are you gonna do this for me, or do I have to get somebody else, huh?
I've never seen you scared before, Rick. I never thought I would.
Listen, when it comes to tax law, you're fully conversant. But when it comes to the law of averages, you're illiterate. This has nothing to do with fear. It's prudent business. You can only roll sevens for so long. Thank you, Mike. Come on in, Steve. It is vital that I speak with Carol Goldman before I leave. Almost as vital as getting this hardware off my jaw. My meeting with Raglin is desirable, but not vital.
It's like they both disappeared, Rick.
David Sternberg's being buried tomorrow. She'll be there.
Agent 5751, day code, sports section, Court the Ice.
Hey, Marty, how's it going?
Pinzolo's about to skip the country. He's pressuring his lawyer to liquidate his assets within the week. And he may try to grab Carol at the Sternberg funeral.
Did he say anything that would prove culpability?
Are you kidding?
Think he knows we're listening?
Hard to say. We should order up some uniforms at that funeral. The more conspicuous, the better.
I'm on it. Catch you later, Marty. Frank, yeah. Have you heard anything from Rag?
Carol, open up. It's me.
I was being followed. I had to get out of my place.
Who's watching?
I don't know. The police.
I'll do that.
Pinzolo's men, they're after me. Raglin, they're all after me.
What'd you call me for?
For protection. You didn't tell anybody, did you?
That's a stupid question.
Oh, what, you think this is funny?
No, but there's a picturesque irony to it. You set David up for Pinzolo, your plan works like a charm, and now Pinzolo is after you.
My plan never included David.
Come on, Carol. People don't live in a vacuum. You ruined his father, and didn't you think a little piece of David was going to die in the process?
David's funeral is tomorrow. I have to be there.
That's touching. It's a beautiful sentiment.
I was gonna set David up in his own business with the profits I made from the offshore takeover of Rightwear. Why? Why did he try to take on Pinzolo by himself?
Because he loved his father. As difficult as that is for you to understand. The word on the street is the SEC is going to file insider trading charges against Pinzolo on this Rightwear deal. Which means he's going to lay it all off on you. Carol Goldman, the spider woman of Wall Street.
The deal was my idea, I admit that. And I used Pinzolo to help me in North Carolina.
He saw to it that the fire retardant wasn't applied? Well, then somewhere there's a guy who didn't push the right button.
They'll never find him.
Does he know you know that? Then there are only two places on this planet where he can't get to you. One is where they're putting David tomorrow.
And the other?
Witness protection program. Go to the cops. You testify against Pinzolo.
I can't prove he killed anyone.
You'll get the ball rolling. Maybe the feds can. At least you'll be safe in the program. They'll relocate you, give you a new history, a new identity, everything.
How do you know so much about this?
Half my relatives are in it.
I have to see my father. After I talk with him, I'll call the police and tell them I'll testify.
It's the right move. I'll go with you to the funeral tomorrow.
No,
Pinzolo's gonna have his men crawling all over that cemetery.
I have to go alone.
All right.
Stay with me tonight. Not to make love. Just stay with me.
Rose.
Our baby, Eli. We're burying our baby.
Rose, this is my wife, Catherine. Catherine, this is David's mother.
I'm so sorry for your loss.
Out of the depths I cry unto you, O Lord. Hear my supplication. Give me the eyes to see that pain is not your will, that somewhere there weeps with me one who knows the suffering of my soul. Grant me the strength to endure what cannot be escaped, and the courage to go on without bitterness or despair, basing my life on the tender memory of your departed child David, and on the abiding foundation of your holy Torah. Amen. We said we were going to be friends, David. Why couldn't we have had the time? I've got $50,000 left to my name. It's yours if you kill Pinzolo.
Daddy, I've been talking to you for an hour. You haven't heard a word I've said.
Pinzolo made you do what you did.
It wasn't Pinzolo, it was me. To destroy Eli was my idea. I set the whole thing up.
How?
What do you mean, how? It's what I've been trained to do. I know every button to push.
You wouldn't have pushed him if it wasn't for me. I let you ruin your life.
Except for David. I'd do it all again in a minute. Eli stole your business from you. I've been fighting your war.
It was a war that didn't exist.
Daddy, I was there. I know that every time you needed serious money, you had to go to Eli. I saw how you agonized over that. By saying it didn't happen won't make the truth go away.
Now you're not listening. I'm to blame for everything that happened. It was my fault. Eli didn't steal the business from me. I gave it to him. Gave it with my blessing. Eli had the drive to do things with the business that I was scared to imagine. I was better off in his hands. It could grow and prosper. I never had the head or the hunger for that. I was just a cutter. A coward. I didn't have the courage to tell you that there was no reason to hate Eli. I just stood by and let your hate fester until it exploded.
So it was all for nothing.
Please don't hate me for being weak. I'm sorry, baby.
You should have been on the horn the minute you knew where Carol Goldman was.
She wanted to see her father, and she didn't want to do it in custody. She's talking to him right now.
How the hell do you know that? She probably jumped on a plane the minute the funeral was over.
If she leaves without testifying, Pinzolo walks. She wants him as much as we do.
So you let her call the shots. That is not the way we work it around here.
I've had it with your rules and regulations, Frank. I'm not your boy. You can't pull on my leash the way you do Terranovas. He's with you for the long haul. I'm not.
Well, so that justifies you risking her life in the case as well. Let me tell you something. You're trying to play God, and you don't have the qualifications.
I was trying to give her a break, okay? Right now, everybody in her family is going through one kind of hell or another.
The only one I work up any sympathy for is Eli Sternberg. If I was in his shoes, I'd leave a hole where Pinzolo was standing. I know you're trying to do it your way. You just consider the consequences if your way doesn't work.
Rick, it's Carol. I know you've been looking for me.
How do you know that?
Because you're too smart not to be.
Is this call strictly for purposes of flattery?
I have something I have to tell you.
I'm listening.
Well, I'd like to tell you in person.
I'll send my car for you.
I'll get there myself, and I won't be followed.
I'm having the place swept, so I won't be listened to either. When can I expect you?
When I get there.
Come on, come on!
Eli? Eli?
Oh, Raglin, come on in. My wife is leaving me.
Why? What happened?
She just told me on the way home from the funeral. I said, now? You're leaving me now? She said, your money's gone.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
There was another woman at the funeral.
That was David's mother, Rose. I wonder how different things would have been had I not forced her out of my life.
Eli, that's the past. Look, this thing about Pinzolo.
That was a mistake. Sadness, like I'm feeling now, makes a man do terrible things. And when I asked you to kill Pinzolo, that was one of them.
Well, there's been too much killing. You gotta try to put as much of this as you can behind you and get on with the rest of your life. You're a strong man. You can do it. Why don't I take you out to dinner?
No, you go ahead. I'm all right.
Okay.
Phil wanted me to give this to you. I don't know what it is.
Good night, Eli.
Good night, John.
John, on the night of October 17th, 1969, Enrico Rick Pinzolo committed murder. His victim was a guy named Freddie Domenico, a drug dealer who operated in Cranston, Rhode Island. Rick and I were in college, dealing drugs to supplement our allowances. We drove to an area called Signal Hill on the outskirts of Cranston to buy 2 pounds of hash from Domenico. Pinzolo tried to cheat him, there was an argument, and Pinzolo pulled a gun and shot him. We left his body where it fell, and we threw the gun in a pond near the intersection of Route 113 and Covenant Road. In case something happens to me, do what you think best with this information. David Sternberg.
We're gonna talk business. And if we are, does that mean we have to put our shoes on?
No. Information has always been more important to me than formality. I'm just curious as to why you're going to jail instead of turning me in and walking.
I like money. Surprised?
No, not by the sentiment. It's just that you won't be able to realize any profits from your end of the transaction. The government will see to that.
Well, I was hoping you would help me out in that department.
Oh, really? How?
50% of your rightwear profits.
I don't think so.
Are you not open for any kind of negotiations?
If I say yes, will you change your mind again about testifying?
Do I really strike you as being that mercurial?
Just shrewd. How does 33% sound?
Is that as good as it's gonna get?
Mm-hmm.
Then I guess we have a deal.
Good. I think that's a deal we can both live with. I'm very surprised, though, that you didn't make more of an issue over your cousin.
I'm sorry David's dead, if that's what you mean. But what can I do? Even if blood is thicker than water, it thins when you compare it to a payday like this one.
It is unfortunate that you're going to jail.
You never seem to worry about it. All it takes is one little slip, you know.
Yeah, well, to make sure that slips don't happen, you have to insulate yourself. That way you take care of your problems before they happen.
The man in North Carolina, the one who didn't apply the retardant, did he fall into that category? Was he a potential problem? You just snap your fingers and everything is all right.
I'm tired.
Well, that's not fair. You can sleep because you know what happened. I'll be pacing the floor, just sorting out the possibilities.
I told a certain party that I wanted him removed. And then they told a certain party. And so on, and so on, and so on, and so on. Until it was a fait accompli. By the time it got down to the actual hit, I was just a rumor. Sweet dreams.
I've left 4 messages. Arnie has my number. Phil. Phil? What are you doing?
Amazing how much you can collect over 40 years.
What are you talking about?
It's over, Eli.
Elrose may be finished, but we could start up again. We could build up from nothing. We did it before.
I was never any good at that, Eli. Besides, I'm an old man now.
Old doesn't mean anything if you're still willing to fight.
Who are we going to fight, Eli? Each other? You'd look at me, you'd see David. I'd look at you, I'd see Carol. My child is alive, thank God. But her career is ruined. Eli, if we stayed together, all we'd have is a constant reminder that the dreams we had for our children were destroyed. We destroyed those dreams. We never acknowledged that our children grew up and could face the truth about their fathers. Maybe that's because their fathers couldn't face the truth about themselves.
You're gonna leave me then? After everything I did for you? Well, go ahead. Who needs you? I can start a new business without you. Goodbye and good luck. Get me Arnie and don't tell me he's busy.
They checked every flight departure, bus schedule, trains.
They should be checking sewers, building foundations in the East River. Carol Goldman's dead.
You don't know that.
I know that. I'm just saying what you're afraid to admit to yourself. If you'd have let us take her into custody, she'd be safe, we'd have her testimony, and the SEC would have what it needs against Pinzolo.
It's a big city. There's no way Pinzolo could have gotten to her that quickly.
Newsflash, gentlemen. There is no record of the murder David Sternberg wrote about.
Local and state agree with that?
According to computer records, Freddie Domenico was DWI and died in a one-car crash.
That means Pinzolo got to somebody up there.
If Pinzolo can eradicate a 20-year-old murder, he can sure as hell eradicate Carol Goldman.
If she's dead, we're dead. If there's no SEC case, all we've got is a murder weapon in the bottom of a pond. And I'm gonna find it.
You're gonna find a 20-year-old murder weapon? You're dreaming.
What else do we have, Frank?
We don't have a damn thing. Go on, get in the car and get out of here. Get up there and see what you can find. You think she's dead?
Hey, I'm a positive thinker, Frank. I'm positive. Sailor Hardware, Mike Terranova. What do you got for me, Marty? Eli Sternberg just walked into Pinzolo's building.
You tell Marty to sit tight. I'm on my way.
Eli, what are you doing here? Okay, look, now, that gun will not be necessary. Please, put the gun away before somebody gets hurt. Come on now.
Want to live? Beg me.
What?
Beg me.
Okay. I beg you.
The great Rick Pinzolo, begging.
Well, there doesn't seem to be much else that I can do in this position, does there?
David said coming to you for money was madness.
Come on, put the gun away, will you?
If I'd have listened to him, he'd have still been alive today.
Could you please put the gun away? Please.
Please? Please? When I came to you and I said, please, your trucking rates are killing me, please meant nothing. When David came to you and said, please, you're sucking the life out of his future, please meant nothing. I buried my son yesterday, and I threw dirt on his coffin.
You have my sympathy.
I don't want your sympathy!
Well, what do you want? What do you want? You want my life? You got the gun.
I don't want your sympathy!
Well, what do you want?
I want my son back. I want David. I want to watch you die.
You want to watch me die? Go ahead. Pull the trigger.
See, the difference between you and me is I had to work for everything. You never did. Everything was given to you.
When my father died, this was a 100-truck business, and he still had grease underneath his fingernails.
Really? Well, I'm gonna kill you, Rick.
I don't think so. If you don't believe me, ask the man who just walked in the door behind you.
Mr. Sternberg, you remember me? I'm Frank McPike from the Organized Crime Bureau.
Did you come here to watch how I do your job for you?
You don't want to be a part of this, Mr. Sternberg.
This son of a bitch got my son killed, and I'm gonna kill him.
Yes, sir. Yes, if you please give me the gun. If you give me the gun, we'll take care of this the right way.
You had his whole life to take care of him. It should have been enough.
It should have been. But it wasn't. Please give me the gun.
I suppose you're expecting an expression of gratitude, huh, McPike?
Oh, Ricky, I'd rather see you carried out in a body bag.
Don't be bitter. It's a terrible way to live your life.
But I am bitter. You gonna sit there and hand out spiritual advice, or you want to press charges?
No, I don't want to press charges. Just get him out of here. He's a harmless old man.
It's not over, Rick.
Pinzolo was mine. He begged me to let him live. He begged for the compassion that he never showed anyone else.
Mr. Sternberg.
I wanted him to die slowly, so I could watch his life drain out of him.
You know you're confessing to premeditation.
You're damn right I am.
And what stopped you?
I don't know. I used to be a fighter. Coming up from Flatbush ahead of me. The Irish, the Italians. I took them all on. I used to be able to swing a pipe at a guy's head if it meant my own survival and my family's. What happened?
Mr. Sternberg.
Let me tell you something. I was the toughest momser on 7th Avenue. I had no friends. That was like a badge of accomplishment.
It's a tough business.
It's guts, McPike. Moxie. All your life you think you got it in spades. What kind of a man have I become? I didn't have the guts to avenge my own son.
Not having what it takes to commit murder is not my idea of a character flaw. We will get Pinzolo.
For insider trading. And maybe they'll send him to that jail with the tennis courts. And when he gets out, he'll get a book deal and a speaking tour at the colleges.
If we can find Carol Goldman and get her to testify, maybe we'll have a chance.
You're gonna cut that bitch a deal, aren't you? I paid for her education. And she's using it to destroy what took me a lifetime to build. I gave her a brilliant career. And she killed David. McPike, do you have children?
I have a son, Mr. Sternberg.
He's precious to you, isn't he? How can you cut a deal with people that killed my son? Where's the justice?
Sometimes I don't know, sir.
The lifeguard told me the divers found. What happened in Rhode Island?
They built a pizzeria there.
There's no murder case, Frank. No weapon, no pond, there's no nothing. You think God ever feels as helpless as I do now? Or as guilty?
You played it the way you thought it should be played.
So that's it?
I know how much getting Pinzolo meant to you. I know how much you wanted to win.
It's not about Pinzolo anymore, or the win. It's about me and the pressure, and seeing if I can stand up to it this time. Frank, I didn't leave Phoenix because that reporter got blown up. Weiss and Abrams found out we were onto their scam and they grabbed me. When I wouldn't give them the names of our undercover people, I won't bore you with the details. I gave them the names. Mark O'Connor was found dismembered and rotting in the desert. Manny Novato was garroted and left in his front door. His kids found him on their way to school. You know how the Bureau handles little embarrassments like that. So they manufactured this delayed stress syndrome story of mine and put me in the cryptography section. Did my best, Frank, for 6 years to live that lie. But there hasn't been a day that I haven't thought, would they have given me up? Would they have taken the pain and died? Never said the name John Raglin.
I know, John.
Since when?
Since you're my friend. I keep track of my friends.
John, according to the FAA, our pigeon's gonna fly. He's filed a flight plan. Pinzolo is leaving from the Westchester airport. He's headed for Morocco.
Morocco?
The U.S. doesn't have an extradition treaty with him. If he lands there, he can stay forever.
When's he leaving?
2,300 hours. John! John Henry!
7th Avenue won't seem the same without you.
7th Avenue won't be the same without me.
So long, Rick.
Take it easy.
How's your jaw, Rick? Healing up?
What do you want? Hey, come on. What do you want, Raglin? How much do you want, huh? You want 10% of my right-ware profits? You want 20? I'll sign over Amici Trucking to you. What do you say? You can control 7th Avenue.
Careful, Rick. Better not lose control. That's what Carol told me. If you're not in control, you're nothing. They pulled her body out of the wetlands today.
I had nothing to do with that. What do you think, we can come to some kind of arrangement or what, huh? Come on!
No, we can't.
Anything you want, Raglin.
There's no price tag on this one, Rick. You're responsible for too much pain and too many deaths. This time, you do not walk away from the misery you caused.
And that you were a big part of. Don't pretend at the start.
Shut up! David Sternberg never knew what hit him when that hollow point plowed through his eye. But you will.
It's the law, Raglin. Now you're the one who's got the problem. Take it, McPike. This man has a gun. Take it.
Give it to me.
No, Frank.
Take the gun away!
I want you to think about this. I want you to think about your wife, and I want you to think about your son.
Will you take it for God's sake?
If you do this, you're going to exchange one set of emotional scars for another.
Take the gun! You're a cop!
So am I!
This is rich. The two of you? Cops? I can't believe this. And Terranova, too. A cop? Oh, boy. I have some friends who would be very interested to know that. All this impressive manpower, and you haven't come up with one thing that'll stick.
Then don't run away, Ricky.
I'm not running. I'm flying, McPike, on the winds of change. You ought to be able to appreciate the poetry in a situation, Raglin. As an enforcer, you are omnipotent. As a cop, you're impotent. But don't worry, you'll get along fine. Hatred is a nutritious emotion. You can live off it for years. Hey, Raglin, I sent you a postcard.
John! What am I supposed to tell her?
Thought he had a gun, Frank. Guess he didn't.
John, I talked to Internal Affairs. The light was dim. He made a threatening move. We thought he had a gun. We both thought he had a gun.
You did that, Frank? Thank you.
Sometimes it seems pretty gray.
No, not this time. This time it was black and white. If Pinzolo had gotten on that plane, Terranova would have wound up as dead as O'Connor and Novato. And there'd be 3 agents I hung out to dry. No. This time it was black and white.
You need some time off, John. I'll see to it the cryptography gives you as much as you need.
How about the rest of my life?
When did you decide to quit?
The second I pulled that trigger. I'm gonna take my wife and son to a stretch of beach somewhere. And for the first time, Frank, for the first time in 6 years, I can see a direction. I don't know where it's leading me, but I sure as hell know what it's taking me away from.
And I'll tell you something, as long as you're with the Bureau, there's always gonna be some guy like me that's asking you to answer the bell one more time. You don't stretch the cord, you gotta cut it.
After I see Eli Sternberg, taking out the scissors. So long, Frank.
John, when you've got that direction figured out, will you let me know?
Vaya con Dios, profesor.
Hasta luego, mi amigo.
Eli? Eli. Pinzolo's dead. The police killed him. last night, as he was about to leave the country. It's over.
I was thinking about my father and how ashamed of him I was. Of his accent, of his clothes, the way he never fit in America. Yet he was 100 times more successful than I could ever be. He had his work. He was married to my mother for 58 years. And he knew who he was. For 40 years, I told myself I was building a business for others. For David's mother, Rose. For David. But that was a lie. So I could delude myself into thinking that the accomplishments were justified. I lied to the only person who believed it.
You still got a lot of years left. You could start over.
Know who you are, John. All the rest ain't worth a damn.
Goodbye, Eli.